going to talk to you about the partnership working in Bury to drive our regen programme. We've got some hugely ambitious plans. We haven't got enough money to do it all, but we've got some great partnership that I think it's really helpful to talk about. I think the issues that we're facing in Bury are pretty common across the country. I think we'd all recognise that in England our towns and cities are facing really unprecedented economic pressures now around the infrastructure. We're certainly feeling it in Bury, I think, consistent with the national trend. I think it's two things, everybody would know what they are, but post-lockdown we've not seen the return to offices and of course online shopping a number of years ago, and we saw the contraction of the retail footprint from then on. So a real question mark over the future viability of our towns. They need to be fundamentally reimagined. In Bury we've got a strong starting point. Our principal town centre is still the third most successful in Greater Manchester. We're really proud of that. We're keen to hang on to it. But we need significant investment to reimagine the offer and the capabilities of those town centres. The issue, of course, is funding. It's not realistic to look to the public sector any longer to be the principal funder. And the scale of investment that we need to achieve really ambitious change is significant. So we think the solution is in partnerships, much more creative partnerships between the public and the private sectors. And we're delighted with some of the private sector partners that are alongside us and starting to really get some traction. What we're really trying to do is to bring together that public sector funding as a lever to secure much more higher value, longer term private sector funding to take us further. We think we're making great strides in that in Bury. I'm not pretending that isn't something that others haven't thought of before, but we are frustrated that we don't think there's been as much focus on that in national policy terms as there perhaps could have been. So particularly with levelling up, for example, under the previous government, whilst we were delighted to secure 2 rounds of funding for 2 of our major sites, we were frustrated that the focus of those schemes was all around bringing one-off public sector funding to the table, and it was not really used as a platform for attracting more from the private sector. So we've tried to tackle that. Our strategy for that scheme, for example, in Radcliffe, a £58 million scheme for a flexi hub. So we're using the new hub as a mechanism to vacate a number of other council-owned sites and then to release those for brownfield housing. And that vision has really appealed to the private sector. It's allowed us to move quickly because we're in control of the sites, and developers have responded. So we're working with Hive Homes, with Watson Homes, who have moved fast to respond to a significant brownfield offer, which is coming together alongside the new hub, which has got a real focus on inclusion for the communities that will follow. In Bury Town Centre, we're doing similar, but there the council's approach has been to focus on land assembly across a number of sites and to formulate all of that into an overarching regeneration plan. And by having that direct control and the clarity of our vision, we've been able to attract Bruntwood to work with us as our joint venture partner for one of those sites, on the basis that we've got the long-term vision and that there is confidence now within the private sector that that vision will drive up the collective land values and be an attractive investment proposition. So we think that model of starting with a point of as much public sector funding as we can commit to, we are absolutely in a position and looking to invest in our own towns, but within an envelope really. But that envelope as a lever for a much longer term, higher value private sector investment is what we're trying to achieve. But I should also say through really ambitious partnership arrangements, this isn't just about a commercial construct to put together a funding strategy together. This is around the roots of those partnerships and in total investment in a place and a focus on the outcomes as well as the investment proposition that we're putting together. So we are building formal partnerships with our joint ventures. We're also working really proactively with all of the other developers in each of our places in quite an organised way to make sure that we've all got the same vision for the place and that between us we're all pulling all of the levers we can to get as much as we possibly can from that investment envelope. We're really clear in Bury that this is more than the money, and public money in any case will only take us so far. This has to be about civic and commercial leadership, all having a shared vision for the place and working together to achieve that. It's not a new example, is it? Greater Manchester is known for this. That is at the heart of the GM strategy. It has been for many years. So whilst I would say we are exemplars in Bury, my colleagues across the other 9 districts would all, I'm sure, have similar stories to tell. And we know that it's working. It was published last year that the latest round of economic analysis showed us that GDP in Greater Manchester was growing faster than the national average last year, faster than London. And we would say that is because of that total place model and the collective commitment cross-sector to the regeneration and growth of place. So as a design principle, it's about more than the money. We would, I think, say that this is local authorities bringing their regeneration expertise, absolutely bring the resources that they can, but the private sector coming to the table, yes, with the capital, but beyond that, we need to lean on the private sector to bring forward its broader development expertise and also its leadership as well, to have that investment in what we're trying to achieve for our communities. And again, in Bury, we're making great progress on that. We're super pleased. Bruntwood, for example, chair our Town Centre Advisory Board, which is where we bring together communities, we bring together the politicians, the developers, other partners on sites, TFGM, for example, led by Bruntwood, but organising us all. And we're also now stepping into the more formal social value space across all of our development schemes and achieving some impressive impact quite quickly. So Vinci, for example, who are our development partner for a number of schemes now, have done a huge amount of work across our schools and our colleges with young people, and they've just stood up a construction academy in Radcliffe aimed at local people who will benefit from the new development, but those local residents as well, to understand, get involved and potentially see employment opportunities out the other side. Our joint venture partners, Bruntwood again, and also Muse, have both stepped in with offers of supported employment opportunities for our looked after kids, which we're delighted about. And we are moving with TFGM to the redevelopment of Bury Town Centre Interchange by 2030, which is a huge flagship scheme for us. And we're already in discussion with TFGM and Wilmot Dixon around their social value offer, which is likely to be around the development of social enterprises. So I think it's that conceptual commitment to a place, the partnership structure around it, but then doing some really practical stuff that drives those outcomes. I think the social business case for regeneration has always been understood, that virtual circle that we would all recognise of regeneration, driving economic growth, people benefiting from that growth, improving your outcomes, reducing the cost on public services. We all know the story. The difficulty, of course, is translating that into any kind of meaningful business case that allows you to attract investment on the back of it. It is still so much more straightforward to bring together an investment prospectus for a scheme that's about growth rather than regen, which by definition has a viability gap. So it's still the challenge, but I think things are starting to change. Certainly in Greater Manchester, again, through the latest devolution trailblazer, which is all around continuing to evolve that concept of total place, and brings a very different prospect around how we might construct development across our city region. So you'll be aware that there's more in that settlement to give us more control over the levers that drive growth and regeneration. So certainly transport, housing, skills, for example, all of the policy controls that we would want to be sure about in order to put the development to it. But also, really excitingly, a single settlement model that allows us to bring together the totality of national funding into one pot effectively that we can use much more flexibly, provided there is that focus again back to outcomes. So we in Bury, as with other districts, are in discussion now with the combined authority around what that might look like for us and how we can use the single settlement in particular to construct different investment models to support some of our town centre regeneration. And across all of us as 10 districts, we're now working together to develop the 10-year local growth plan to deliver the new arrangements. Excitingly, we are looking forward now at a year of delivery. So we have the schemes that I've kind of described worked up now and ready to a point of delivery. We're already on site in Radcliffe. We will be moving at pace over the next year. We'll be getting on site in both Bury and Prestwich with the schemes and the resources that we have, certainly for the first phases of development. But we will also be continuing to lobby because whilst we feel we've done a lot with the resources that are available, it's not enough to achieve the scale of our ambition. We need to push harder. So we'll continue to press on for investment to secure future phases so we can push those schemes as far as we can and get up towards the 200 mil scale of programme that we have in mind. To support all of that, we are continuing to think in particular around Bury Town Centre and bringing together the various programmes of activity, certainly everything that we have in view as a council across the retail footprint, our housing vision, and working with TFGM around the full potential for the interchange redevelopment. That will all be coming together into a 10-year regeneration plan for the town centre. And throughout all of this, I should also say we are continuing to work with our local businesses as well to make sure that we continue to understand their needs, their growth opportunities and land requirements. And we hope to have a big announcement coming soon on something relatedly. It's all about the outcomes. It's the outcomes that bind us at the end of the day, isn't it? And I think at its worst, a public-private partnership can be one big professional tension if there isn't that alignment really of vision and objectives and KPIs and measures as well as just the money. So I would say go deeper than the money. Be clear what you're trying to achieve and then put the schemes to it rather than the other way around. So I would say outcomes, long-term commitment, and making sure that from the public sector we bring the political decision makers along there as well, so that the private sector is confident in the depth of delivery that it has the possibility to achieve.